These are my last minute tips for your GCSE languages exams. This is French, German, Spanish, you name it, apply these tips and you will get a grade 9. There are a few exam tips and tricks that nobody really talks about but that can really help boost your grade that I want to provide you with on today's episode of Sustainable Study Secrets. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video where I'm giving you my top tips and tricks for every single one of your GCSE exams. If you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe so you do not miss out on any of my last minute revision advice. And this series is starting very slightly late because funnily enough, I just moved back home from Paris. Hopefully this gives me some credibility and I can teach you a thing or two about learning a new language. And my camera is still on its way home with my other luggage, so please excuse the quality. Without further ado, let's get on with things first. To pass this GCSE, you can genuinely just plough through vocabulary. But do you just want to pass this GCSE or do you want a grade 9? You can probably pick up a good half of the marks if you can just extract and translate words from the reading and from the listening. And of course, even if you are aiming for a grade 9, this is a skill that you need to have. So you do need to know a wide range of vocabulary. The best way to learn new words that are relevant to different themes you cover in French, German, Spanish. I'm so inclined to talk about French. Vocab always needs to be a key element of your revision, but it should not be the entire focus. So if there are words that you're consistently forgetting, be sure to make a Quizlet set on them, make some flashcards, but do bear in mind that you don't need to cover every word in your vocab. Those things, those words that you use time and time again, that you use every day, like do you really need a word for bonjour in French? Do you really need which is and? No, but you will need your more complicated words and those things that you forget all the time, and especially those things that sound nothing like the English version. It is a low-key benefit that French and Spanish students have. There are more words that sound like the English version. As German, you may be find this harder. Do not be overly ambitious in your writing, but do incorporate a range of tenses. If you write everything in the present tense, you are going to seriously cap yourself. You should at least know your past, present, and future. You need to be really confident with using these before you do anything else, because this is your foundation of knowledge and understanding. Because if you don't know these basic tenses, how are you meant to work up and get to those higher grade tenses? So for example, you want to use the subjunctive, the imperfect, or I don't know what they are in German. Understand the basics first and then move on to the harder things. This is where a lot of students slip up. They're like, right, I'm really not confident with my language, but I want to score those top marks. And I know in order to get a good mark in French, I should stick some phrase in the subjunctive tense in there. But the thing is, in their writing, it just doesn't make any sense. And you will actually end up getting worse marks by attempting to use it completely wrong than you would have if you just hadn't used it at all. Because the examiner can see that. The examiner isn't stupid. They can see they are clearly trying to shove this tense in here so they can get higher marks, but it doesn't make sense in the context of the rest of the writing, so we're actually going to deduct marks. However, that being said, if you are aiming for a top grade, those complex tenses and verb conjugations should be the focus of your revision. If you want to get that top grade and get them in there, you need to thoroughly understand how they work, the context in which you can use them. This is quite specific for the writing. However, to some extent, it will be tested in the listening and in the reading. Because if they put something quite complex in there, you need to understand, okay, is this going to happen now? Is this going to happen in the future? Did this happen in the past? In my opinion, listening is the hardest part of learning any language because native speakers just ram their words together. If I were to say, quel est ce mot en français? You'd be like, what? But if I said, quel est ce mot en français? You would understand me if you speak French. The best way to get better at this is genuinely doing targeted practice. So if you want to become fluent in a language, you should be doing language immersion. You should be listening to podcasts, listening to music. Listening to children's nursery rhymes is a fantastic way to revise. You have to imagine yourself learning a language like a child would. Language immersion is incredibly important if you're trying to speak the language, like beyond GCSE. Just you're interested in learning how to speak it better. But if you're just focused on GCSE, bear in mind that you only do key themes. You don't need to be able to talk about things that aren't on the specification. So in your targeted listening practice, be doing practice papers. You can get the listening recordings from your exam board's website. It might feel really odd because you're listening to something. You do not do this in any other GCSE, but honestly, this is where most people struggle, and most people just don't even think to do their targeted practice paper practice because they have to go and download an audio file. But by doing the practice papers, you get more used to the vocabulary, the speed at which they speak in the exam, and you get better at interpreting that language, translating it and understanding what they're trying to say. As difficult as it is in this GCSE, you need to identify where your weaknesses are. Keep all of your practice papers and your mocks. Go and find your end of topic tests now, because you need to use these in your revision. Because a lot of people just think, oh, I didn't get all of these marks in the writing because I didn't know enough vocabulary. Oh, you know, I needed to use more tenses. No, you're probably making some sort of mistake. In languages, you're making mistakes all of the time. It's not just you got something wrong. It's oh, you missed out a s or an s here. It's so difficult to identify your mistakes, but you really need to go through those practice papers and figure out what it is that you're getting wrong. For me, this was particularly infuriating because I was like, I feel like I'm getting it all wrong. If you can just break it down and figure out where your misunderstandings lie, it becomes so much easier to improve. So if you like this video and you found it helpful, be sure to like and subscribe, because I'm going to be posting my last minute exam tips for every single one of your GCSEs. Best of luck in your exam. You are smart, you are capable, and you will get that target grade. Bye guys, love you.